So right now, for the current version, you have an 8-week study plan, and for the Focus Edition, you have a 6-week study plan.
Okay.
So you can see how major the difference is with respect to the duration of the preparation itself. Now, they still have to answer all of the questions until the end of the section. And only then, once they reach the end of the section, if they have a couple of minutes left, then they can come back and review.
Got it.
But at least now, the prospect of being able to come back allows them to leave a question. They can just simply mark a question and leave. They can bookmark that question and they can come back to that specific question.
Alright, so we have another interesting video for you today. We are sitting right now at the GMAC office. For those who are aware of it, I don't have to tell you where we are and what we are going to do today. And for those who don't know, you guys have to watch this video. And for that, we have Seema with us today. Seema, why don't you tell our audience why we are sitting here and talking to you?
Okay, to start off with, so Graduate Management Admission Council, that's what I work for. And we own and administer the GMAT exam. And at GMAC, I handle the entire candidate outreach for the South Asia region as well as the TPO relations. And of course, for today, we will be talking about the Focus Edition, which is the big buzz which has been going on so far until recently, for sure. So everything related to, all the things that the students really want to know about.
Right. Let's tell our students what exactly is the Focus Edition. A lot of them might be aware of it. A lot of them probably are hearing this for the first time.
Yeah.
They probably have heard about GMAT, but what is this new board called Focus Edition?
So I'd say so the exam has been around for a really long time. I mean, the first edition of GMAT was in 1954. Since then, it has undergone a lot of changes with respect to making it more flexible for the candidates and also making sure that GMAT stays the gold standard, because it is a key indicator for, the candidate preparedness for a graduate business education. And the endeavor has always been to make sure that it continues to do so. Right. And the Focus Edition, I mean, times have been changing, and the GMAT Exam Focus Edition aligns to the new business needs of today's world. So that's what the change is about. It's both candidate friendly. So people are, everybody who thinks about taking the exam is going to be super happy about it. And of course, it aligns to what the business schools as well as the employers are looking for.
So if I may have to ask you, what are the business schools looking for right now and employers are looking for right now that you thought that needed to change, and that's why I need to tweak the examination?
Okay. So one thing, everybody, combined agreed to the fact that they needed a shorter exam, because we do live in a very fast-paced world where there's not a lot of time on everybody's hands. But while we shortened the exam, as I said, it still needed to do the job it was initially kind of like created to do, which is test certain skill sets, which would show whether the candidates, when they, won, the business schools will understand whether they're ready for the business school, especially to do a master's program or a business master's program. Second thing is, once they go there, whether they will succeed in that particular program or not. So that was what the intention actually was. And the main skill sets, I would say, right now, what's required is critical reasoning skills, critical thinking skills rather, analytical skills, your data literacy skills. So primarily, those still needed to be maintained in the exam. So which is what, some of the less relevant content areas got removed because of that, but still maintaining the, the essential integrity of the exam for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But does that mean that the actual question types will change, or is it going to be relatively similar to what it was in the previous edition?
Questions are not essentially changing. As I said, some of the slightly less relevant content areas, which might not focus on the essential skill set that I spoke to you about, those are actually getting removed. So if people who have already prepared want to take the Focus Edition, then they would be easily able to transition. They just have to take the newer format of the exam, see whether they're comfortable with the newer format, and then go ahead and take it. So it's good news.
Right. If I have to ask you, not directly about the Focus Edition now and break it a little bit, and ask you, who exactly is the right candidate to take a GMAT examination right now. So probably a lot of people who are working in their respective offices, respective sectors, they are not happy with the kind of jobs that they're having or the kind of money that they're getting paid. Who do you think then should be taking up this exam?
You give me very open-ended question which I can talk about for hours, but I'll try not to do that. So the first thing is, I always start, usually when I take sessions for candidates, I always start by saying that GMAT is one exam with diverse opportunities. All right. Typically, we've always known GMAT to be an exam that's taken by working professionals. Somebody who wants to, from a mid-career, they want to boost their career, get better pay, get into better roles, senior level roles. But what people did not know about was there are other avenues, even if, let's say, somebody who's a fresh graduate or somebody who's still in their college, there are ways to go into a regular MBA program without a work experience also. That is something known as a deferred MBA program. A lot of people don't really know about that. It is highly competitive, but a candidate can apply in their final year. And if the business schools really like their profiles, they will give them an admit. And the candidates are supposed to finish off certain years of work experience and then go join the regular program alongside those working professionals. That's one of the options. That's why GMAT, those kids can take the GMAT as well. Another set of people who can take the GMAT exam and, where they can get into is the business masters, like masters in management. Then you have other masters like masters in marketing, masters in financial analytics. So a lot of business masters that lean towards management, which is again good for fresh out of college people, where people don't either have 0 to maybe fewer years of experience. So that's 2 categories, but I'm not done. There's one more, which is an executive MBA program. So we do have another assessment, which is called the EA, globally for executive MBA programs. That is somebody who's got maybe more than 6-7 years of work experience or more, is somebody who would actually look at an EMBA program. But in India, typically you would find that EMBA programs do take the GMAT exam. They look at both EA as well as the GMAT. So as you can see, it's not just a working professional or a mid-career professional. You have fresh graduates, fresh out of college, working professionals, or you have mid-level working professionals as well as senior-level working professionals. So.
And the Focus Edition also allows them to review and edit their answers, right? So what does this beast, I mean, if you're giving me an option to edit my answers, nothing like it, right?
Yes, actually. So there's a background to it, and why it's so attractive to people is because GMAT is question adaptive, right? So you have to answer the first question and then you can go to the next question. So it used to weigh very heavily on students' minds, like, candidates who used to take the exam, like, I have to answer, and they would end up spending too much of time on a specific question, and, they wouldn't have time for the later question. Now, they still have to answer all of the questions until the end of the section. And only then, once they reach the end of the section, if they have a couple of minutes left, then they can come back and review. But at least now, the prospect of being able to come back allows them to leave a question. They can just simply mark a question and leave. They can bookmark that question and they can come back to that specific question. So exam taking experience again gets better there. And, they don't have to be bogged down by a single question with the prospect that, I don't have a chance to go back to it.
Right. I'm a very average student,
Okay.
right? And I start with a very easy question. And that's my level. I can't go beyond it. Can I score very good marks even if I'm a average student? You can start with a very low kind of a question or difficulty level and stay in the average range.
Possible, but I'll also tell you one thing. This again, I'll draw from my teaching experience probably, right? When somebody prepares for the GMAT, remember the skill sets that we spoke about? Critical reasoning and all sorts of skills. Different people are at different stages of those skills. And when people actually prepare, right, they can improve. That's one of the best things about it. It's not testing you on, certain kinds of aptitude questions or certain kind of very textbook math kind of questions or English questions. It's testing you on skills that can be developed. So as people prepare for this exam, they can develop those skills. I mean, I think I'd like to think that my skills have improved over time. My understanding of those questions improved. And so when they get to the point of taking the exam, they would have reached a point of, let's say they get continuously a certain score and they're stuck to that. But even, let's say we call that a score plateau. Let's say I got a 650, I'm like stuck at that particular score. That score can also be improved. And that can be improved by going back and reviewing what you have been doing wrong, fixing those things. So there is a possibility of actually getting to that 700 also with the right amount of preparation. So I wouldn't say that, there's no average student or there's no very bright student. It's just that different people at different stages of their skills that can actually be developed. So that's what I personally think as well.
I don't know how much of that you can reveal, but take us through the performance insights of a GMAT scorecard as to how it is done.
Well, I can reveal the entire thing because, in fact, if people want to know more about it, I would suggest that they go to the, they can simply Google and look up a sample ESR form on the website. So what's happening is, in the current version, again, in the official score report, there's not a lot of insights. But if candidates wanted more insights, they can purchase an ESR report, enhanced score report, which comes at an additional cost of $30. What's happening with the Focus Edition is all of these insights is available on ESR for an additional fee is coming for free into this official score report. Plus a few additional performance insights. For instance, obviously, percentile ranking by total score and sectional scores will be there. The second thing is, if I, as a candidate, I send my score to a specific business school, then I will be able to see my percentile ranking basis other people who have sent their score report to the same school. So that will give me a fair sense of what my chances are or, what does that look like. Second thing is, the third thing is there are performance insights, percentile ranking by question types, content domain, fundamental skills, the time management or the pacing that's involved, and of course the question review and edit feature, which is the new feature which is included as well. So all of these percentile rankings are based on past 5 years of data. So yeah.
Okay. Now let's talk about how do I prepare for this focus edition. Is there something that I need to really think about? Is there something that needs to change in the way I have approached GMAT preparation to be? Do I have to be worried that probably I'm missing out on certain things and probably the people who are picking up focus edition now will get ahead of me?
To start with, one of the best things, like where the moment we talk about focus edition, the first thing that we say is examining is getting more efficient. That's primarily because there's a lot of content that's gotten removed, which means that the prep time reduces. So right now, for the current version, you have an 8-week study plan, and for the Focus Edition, you have a 6-week study plan. So you can see how major the difference is with respect to the duration of the preparation itself. But otherwise, actually, the way they have to go about the questions don't change because you're actually developing these skill sets, isn't it? So that actually does not really affect the candidates as much. In terms of being worried, in fact, I think people are more happy about things than getting worried, mainly because the amount of time they have to spend on the preparation has gone up. But in terms of finding out if a format really aligns with them or not, what I strongly suggest is take a practice exam. Both the current version as well as the newer version is available on the mba.com. So the GMAT exam right now, as we know it, will end by the last appointment would be that candidates can take would be by Jan 31st. And from that point onwards, they will only have the GMAT exam focus edition.
Correct. That tells you how important is the focus edition now in terms of if you are a GMAT test taker. And Seema has confirmed that. Thank you very much, Seema, on that. One last question. What is an ideal score when we're talking about the GMAT Focus Edition for me to get into the best B schools in the country?
There is no ideal score, unfortunately. And it's, and I'm not being diplomatic. Honestly, not being diplomatic. Whether I'm a part of GMAC or otherwise, my answer has always been this, because it varies a lot from one person to another. GMAT has never been an exam where there is like a cutoff, okay? It does depend upon a lot of other factors. I always say that it's like a pie. There are different components to that pie. People look at your work experience, They look at the other initiatives you've taken in your life. They look at your, let's say, your essays, and how you've been able to really communicate who you are as a person and how you're going to contribute to that community, and what your career goals are after that. All your academic scores. I mean, how would I forget that? That's like one of the most important things as well. So that alongside this together is taken into consideration. Sometimes, some things outweigh the other. And maybe, in that case, like somebody could with a 650 also could get into, some of the top B schools. Like if you look at Harvard, I think this time around is about 500 to 780 or something is the average, the score range of the class profile. So you could see that, that there's been people who've gotten with that lower score. I'm not saying that everybody gets in like that, but it's quite varied depending upon the person's profile, or where they're coming from, and what a lot of aspects that go into it. So I definitely tell all of the candidates that I speak to as well, look at the profiles, find out where they're from, and what are the things that you could do to kind of work on yourself to make sure that you are ready for that. You don't have to be in a hurry to get into those schools. You can make that decision and make sure that you get into what you want. Don't settle for anything less. So yeah.
And we'll leave our audience with the message which says that don't settle for anything less. And I hope that this information was not less for them. If you still think that there are questions that you want to ask, that you want answers from us or Seema, do write to us. Do put in your questions in the comments box. Do check out the link that is in the description below to know more about this particular exam. And do tell us if this video was helpful for you to know more about the Focus Edition. Thank you very much, Seema, for hosting us today in this particular colorful office. And I wish you all the very best for great numbers this year.
Thank you so much.